Hi, my name is Alex, and I build and repair guitars in my shop in South Seattle. And today we have a very special guitar on the workbench, so let's get started. So what we have on the workbench today is a parlor guitar of unknown make or origin and unknown date, brought in by a client. This guitar belongs to his grandfather. It has a few problems with it. I, of course, told him that the cost to benefit ratio was going to be a little sideways on this one because the cost to repair this instrument is going to be greater than the instrument itself is actually worth. But this is a sentimental piece, so to him the price doesn't matter. He'd simply like it to get into a playable state, which is understandable. So let's take a look at this thing, just to give you a sense of scale. The body of the instrument comes in at about I'm going to say 12.5 inches. And let's measure the fingerboard here. So that's right about at 0, the heel. Up to the nut is just shy of 15 inches. From my perspective, I would say that is 14 and 15/16. And get a load of that 0 fret there. A plastic nut, slotted headstock, open tuners, and then check out the back here. There is a serial number. I see the number 61-12401. 61 could be the year this guitar was manufactured. My guess upon looking at it was probably that it was made in the 1960s or early 70s. So 1961 would be right in that range. As you can see, there are 2 steel strings on the bass side and 2 nylon strings on the treble side. The fingerboard is perfectly flat. There's no radius whatsoever on this instrument. The frets themselves appear to be in decent enough condition. If we come down along the side and take a look at the action, we will notice that the action at the 12th fret, wait, let's check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that is indeed the 12th fret. Action at the 12th fret is disturbingly high. I don't have a precise ruler here, but let's just use this one and see if we can measure that. Above the fret, it looks to be at about 5/32. Using the handy-dandy Stuart McDonald string height gauge, we're going to get an accurate measurement of this. Press it down, zero it out, and then lift it up. So it looks like we're at 169 thousandths. We'll just say 170 thousandths on the treble side. Press it down, zero it out, and then let go. 179 thousandths, or we'll just say 180 thousandths. So that's way too high for a string height at the 12th fret. And judging by the string height at the 1st fret, the reason the action is so high down here is because the neck has come out of shape. It has, over time, under the tension of the strings, moved in this direction. Also, if we take a look down here at the bridge, you'll see that the bridge is lifting off, and it appears as though someone at some point attempted to glue it back on by some means. I can probably tell which adhesive that is simply by scraping it. Let me add some light here. What kind of glue did they use? Oh, I take that back. I don't think anybody tried to glue this. This is not glue. Upon first looking at it, I thought this was super glue residue, because super glue, CA glue, leaves a sort of a dusty white residue, but this stuff is coming right off like a cobweb. I think this is just filth from age. Now, I don't believe anybody has tried to glue this down, but as you can see, the razor blade slips right underneath the bridge. So not only is the neck twisting forward or bending forward from the string tension over age, it doesn't help that there's quite tense steel strings on here. The bridge is visibly leaning up, and as you can see right here, there's one other problem. The top, the soundboard, has lifted off. Oh, you can see right in there. Now, keen observers will be able to tell right away that there is no kerfing inside of this. So the top of this guitar was originally just glued down to whatever that is, like an 1/8 inch piece of laminated bent wood. What kind of wood it is, I don't know. We shall find out. I believe that we can lower this action without a neck reset. A neck reset would be ideal. But I think simply by gluing this down, removing and re-adhering the bridge, we can get this guitar back into a playable state. The client told me that this guitar is not going to be a daily player. It's going to be something that hangs on a wall and is only taken down every once in a while to play. It has made it since possibly 1961 in decent enough shape. I mean, it hasn't been destroyed. A lot of guitars that were made in the lot with this guitar probably didn't make it this far. So to bring it back to life in a somewhat playable state won't be too difficult. And I don't know, the music will play on, as it always does, with or without us involved. I talked to him about it, and I think to really make it shine and really make his grandfather happy, I believe I will remove these frets and clean up the fretboard, refret it, and replace this nut with a bone nut. This plastic saddle, let's see if we can get in there. You can see these steel strings have carved a groove in the plastic saddle. So the saddle's going to have to be replaced. That's not a problem. I'll replace it with a custom bone saddle. I'm also going to put a new pick guard on it, or I'll use this pick guard as a template to make another pick guard. The original one was screwed in with these little screws, and in case you were wondering, yes, the screws do poke through the other side of the instrument. You can feel them. They are quite sharp. Whether or not this was original or not, I don't know. It'll make a great template for a new one, however. And instead of securing the new one with screws, I will fill those holes so the moisture doesn't get in the future. And, you know, maybe even to pimp it out a little bit, I can put mother of pearl dots in here, as these, well, these are just painted on. I don't know. I'll ask him. I'll ask him if he wants to replace those dots with actual dots. These dots, however, at the bottom, they are actual dots, although the material they're made out of is, as of yet, unknown. My guess is plastic. All right, so the very first step in this process will be to strip the guitar down and clean it. We'll begin by removing these uh, steel strings and these two nylon strings. And as you can see, the nylon strings have been tied on. These are good knots. Whoever tied those on did an excellent job. And whoever placed these in there just wanted to make some noise. I applaud you. Whoever you are, I'm sure you're out there doing fine. Oh, joining me on this adventure, of course, is crisp, refreshing, delicious Soleil Blood Orange. Not only does it hit the spot in every right way, it's also cheap. I mean, everybody knows that luthiers make the big bucks, but it's also important to keep yourself humble. Remember where you came from. It is the little things that matter. Jenny from the block. Okay, you're gonna poke your eye out. Gonna poke your eye out. Let's check these guys out. I wonder how long they've been on there. Okay. Yeah, the string scuzz is pretty heavy. This, there's a significant amount of patina on that. The copper turns blue after a certain amount of time, which it has done here. Always when removing strings from an instrument, be tidy. You never know where you'll find these things. I actually found one last night while I was laying in bed. I felt something itching my back, and I reached behind me, and I found an E string that had been all coiled up and must have gone through the wash, and it was stuck in the back of my shirt. I used to save the ball ends for electric guitar strings. My idea was to make a bracelet or a necklace out of them. I had, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of them between the ages of 9 and 18. And when I finally had enough to make a necklace, ooh, that string is especially gross. Focus, focus on the open fire. When I finally made that necklace, it was disgusting. It made my wrist itch. It was ugly. The same scuzz that was on the strings was now on my body. Oh, what is that I hear? My cat, Noodle, has arrived. I think this is a good enough place to take a break. I got the house free for the next couple of weeks, so of course I'm gonna skate in the basement. Look who decided to join us. It's Goldie. Hey, Goldie now. Oh, I love you too. Goldie is the neighborhood cat. She comes by and hangs out. We kick it every once in a while. It took a long time to become friends with this cat, but she's the neighborhood cat. Every neighborhood has one. Although one of the other neighbors calls her Mr. Cat. And before this Goldie, there was another Goldie who looked exactly the same. And before that Goldie, there was another Goldie who looked exactly the same. All right, next let's get our cup ready and start taking off this pick guard. A stripped screw. Awesome. I'm looking at these little guys and wondering if they are original. Let's see if we can't figure out a way to get this little guy out. How stuck is it really? Oh, here it comes. And it is loose. Here we go, in case the customer wants it back. I'm gonna grab my Stumac soft pliers. Check this out. They came free with an order of, I think it was $15 or above, but they have nylon grips in them, replaceable nylon grips, and they're good for grabbing stuff on fragile instruments. Pretty good for pulling these bridge saddles out. I spoke too soon. These are terrible for pulling saddles out. It simply doesn't want to come. Oof. Out, out, brief candle. Which of these tools would work best for pulling the saddle out? I'm dropping stuff. That's not a surprise. I drop stuff all the time. Ooh, maybe I'll try these first. Orthodontics tools. In case you're wondering, these puppies are called the Optivisor, recommended to all luthiers by His Holiness Dan Earlywine. I didn't think this was going to work. Oh, it does work. But, you know, I really want to try the orthodontist tool because I don't think I've ever actually used this successfully in any operations. So this thing is, I think, for pulling braces out. And again, we're replacing the saddle. So, I mean, I'm putting very little pressure on it. And let's see. Oh, it popped right out in 2 pieces. As you can see, those steel strings have dug grooves into this plastic saddle. This is very, very brittle plastic. Dang. I was going to say that I was going to repair this thing so that I could use it as a template later. But now I'm thinking maybe I won't do that. I'm getting completely sidetracked. Hey, you want to do a little test? Let's do a flame test. Since I'm not going to repair this, let's do a chemical analysis on it. I've had this lighter I'm not a smoker. I've had this lighter since I lived on a sailboat in 2010, and it still has juice. Oh, look at that. That's black smoke. Yeah, this could be an original bridge. Smell is very plasticky, but it isn't what modern plastics smell like when you burn them. I'm not a plastics expert. It does smell old, though. It doesn't have that characteristic brown bromine tint to it, but it is old and it is cheap. Very, very brittle. I just messaged the client. I asked him when he thought this instrument was made. He told me his grandpa bought it in the early 70s. And his guess was that it was made in the 60s. I think that's a pretty good guess. I think his grandpa will be very pleased to see this instrument with a proper bone saddle and proper bone nut. All right, I'd like to show you a little taping trick. I've never seen anybody else do this on any of the luthier channels on YouTube. I used to work at a boatyard, and when you paint the hull of a boat, and the hull would be considered the part of the outside of the boat that is above the waterline. You paint it with these various really hardcore marine grade paints. And this is especially true on wood boats. When you apply those paints, they kind of brittle, easy to pull off on older boats especially. So you want to protect the wood as much as you can when you tape off areas to paint. So when you tape off the hull, that tape could be on there anywhere from less than an hour to a couple of weeks. When you come back to pull the tape off, there's a chance you're going to pull that finish off along with it, which is not desirable. So I'll show you my little trick. And that trick is baby powder. Sprinkle a little baby powder on a napkin. Doesn't take much. Wipe the surface with the baby powder. Just so it looks like I wiped it all off, but there's still a thin layer of talc on there. And what that does is it allows the tapes just to stick on and not fly off, but also makes it way easier to pull off without the risk of pulling off that ancient finish. And that finish has been on there for quite some time. Now, I have absolutely no idea how this bridge is attached, so this next part is going to be exploratory. I don't think it'll be too invasive. We might have to use heat to get this off. It could have been secured with white glue. If this really were made in '61, it would have been pre-epoxy. Now, if you look carefully, you can see that these 4 string holes have only ever had nylon strings in them, whereas these 2 holes right here have had those, they must have had those strings in them for quite a while because the wood is conformed to the shape of those brass balls. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to lightly score around the edges of the bridge, just in case there's any finish, any lacquer, shellac, or whatever was used on this guitar sticking from the body to the bridge. I don't want that to pull up when I remove the bridge. But when I remove the bridge, what it will do is leave a witness line for where the bridge was and where it will return. But still, when I remove the bridge, I don't want to tear the wood because that adhesive might pull up the wood or any finish or anything that was there. And we don't want to cause more damage to the instrument. They might have used an index pin when they were placing it. The index pin would have made sure that when they glued it, it was directly in the right place. So there might be like a wooden dowel here or here. See, right there, it does feel like it's hitting something that might be an index pin. See if I feel the same thing on this side. Kind of, a little bit. There could be something down there. Take a feeler gauge and see if we can't feel something. Yes, we can. These guys are right here. Those might be the index pins. So this bridge might be held in place by these 2 fellows right here. I'm looking for index pins and they're there the whole time. Brilliant, Alex, brilliant. All right, I'm going to drill an exploratory hole. Get a starter hole here with the awl. Is it a screw? Oh my goodness, it is a screw. I'm glad I stopped. I didn't put too much pressure on the spatula when I was trying to bring it up. And I'm glad I didn't because that would have torn some screws out. That feels decent. All right, that's the one. And slowly, very slowly remove the screws. Do not want to strip them. Nothing's happening. What do you want to bet there's a nut down there? Yep, there's a nut. Okay. It's held in with a bolt. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Okay, so I've got the nuts. I had to readjust the camera so you could see it. And, oh yay, it comes out. There it is. Okay. A little more of the mystery is being revealed. So, let's... Ooh. But now we have the bridge off. And we didn't cause any significant damage in doing so. Plus, we solved the mystery of the bridge. Once again, I'm going to score this very lightly, right along the edge, super lightly, because when I remove it, I don't want to pull any of the finish off. Sometimes I can do this stuff right-handed, but for this, it's such a delicate act, I'm just going to use my dominant hand. And I'm going to use this piece of cork. I found that cork is really useful material in building and repairing guitars because it's soft. You can use it as a sandpaper backing and for jobs like this where you don't want to harm things. Oh, there it goes. So that's where the nut was, made of the same plastic as the saddle. All right, so the very last thing that we're going to do to this instrument before beginning repairs proper is remove the frets from the fretboard. Looking closely at this fretboard, I can tell it has been painted. These fret dot markers are painted on. What this does is the same thing as when I pulled the nut off and the bridge off. If there's any paint or finish or varnish or anything which is bled from the fingerboard itself onto the frets, when you pop the fret off, there's a chance you might tear some of the wood. These are coming out nicely without a whole lot of tear out. Almost no tear out. There's a couple of little flecks right there, but that's just the paint, the aforementioned paint. That isn't actually wood. It looks like there's rust oxidation on this. Can't really tell. You know, I'm not a materials expert. My degree is in political science with an emphasis in philosophy. And I'm not even an expert at that. I have a degree in it, and I'm not an expert. In fact, when I graduated from college, I realized that I really don't know anything. And the older I get, the more I understand that that is a true statement. I know absolutely nothing. Life confounds me. I just don't understand anything at all. Hey, that one got some distance. 3 points. 3 points out of what? I don't know. I want to join the 9 Club. 9 Club for guitars. That'd be sick to be interviewed by Chris Roberts for making guitars, for not even making guitars, for repairing guitars. He's such a chill dude. He can talk about anything. I love that guy. A born communicator. Some people, they're just good at that stuff. All right, there we go. This tool is called a chisel. And there it goes. It's gone. Going, disappeared. The same glue used to hold that nut on is the same from these 3 stripes here. And that could be an animal-based glue. It really could be. It's animal-based glues get crusty and crispy over time. So yes, it very, very much could be an animal glue. You never know. I guess I could taste it. That's what the cowboys did. I think that's a good place to stop. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Stay tuned for part 2 where we repair the thing.